Well, the good news is you haven't got a big picture of me to look at as well. Well, I suppose, first of all, a really big thank you for inviting me to say some words. And I've had a pleasure of meeting Ken, who's, I know your chairman, your president, in fact, has put a huge amount of work into supporting your organisation. So, first of all, thank you from me as well to the president. I was first elected in 1998 to the council area of Worth Valley, which is, if you know Wuthering Heights, Bronte country. I live in Haworth, and so I've got about 15,000 people and about 16,000 sheep there around it. And it's actually part of Bradford Metropolitan District Council, which obviously is a big urban northern city. But around the urban bit is this beautiful bit of countryside. I've got Ilkley Moor in my constituency now, and Bronte Moorland, so I've got quite a poor town with a lot of poverty, and I've got a really interesting rural dynamic next to a big city. But I started my politics in local government, and there's 3 councils to award, and each of us were given a parish council to team up with as well. So I spent a lot of time actually with Oxenoe Parish Council, which is the next village on from me, and of which I knew little about parish councils at the time. But I've got to say that they earned my respect because they knew their community, and there were very strong leadership in there. And they put together a really challenging plan, actually, of their community, and challenged Bradford Council to support me in that process. And they relentlessly pursued me as a district council and later me as leader of the council, I became leader of Bradford, as well, about things they did. Road safety, improving educational attainment, facilities in the village. So what I'm saying to you is, I started my politics at a local level. But actually, the parish council, which was, I saw not as an inferior, but as a really close partner in me delivering services, was an important part of my political development. So to now be studying as a local government minister, a bit of a journey from those first gatherings in the community hall in Oxenoe, but I do feel like actually I've got some legitimacy in the fact that we've done a journey together, let's put it that way. I've got some words which I want to read out from the speech, because I want to make sure that you understand where we are at the moment and what I think you can do and you are doing to build on localism in particular. I think you've got a massive role to play. Town and parish councils are a crucial role to play in building on localism. Delivering services locally can mean better services. Local councils, so earlier on, can draw upon their local knowledge, community support, engagement, and I've got to say, usually a very efficient organisation in the parish council as well. And we want to empower, we want to continue to empower parish councils. We're removing the requirement for external audits for smaller carriages with a turnover less than 25,000. Qualifying councils have the general power of competence, which includes the power to trade. So parish councils don't have to keep looking over the shoulder at Whitehall looking for permission. And we're removing the two-signature rule governing parish council payments. We're going to put in place legislation which will put beyond doubt that you can send agendas and meeting papers electronically if that's your preference. I know you've got a great debate about communications later on, which I'm sure this will form part of. On parish polls, we've listened to your calls to modernise them, and a public consultation will be published before Christmas. But it has to be also about empowering the electorate. So we want openness and through the local government bodies regulation 2014, which is now in force, we're giving rights to the public to use modern communication methods to inform councils. And I know this creates a degree of tension. I do remember the 6 pensioners being hauled from the town council in Keighley by the police for videoing the parish council meeting, which I said was, I thought, somewhat over the top. You know, you make difficult decisions. We make difficult decisions. We should never ever shy away from the fact that we are representing people. It's representative politics, and the modern conduits and ways of ensuring that people know what the choices we're making and the decisions we're making, even when they're difficult decisions, is really important. So the fact we brought this in and very clear guidance about those rules around transparency is really important. And I think the relationship between parish and town council and the electorate is it's crucial, and that relationship is the foundation for delivering at a parish level. And I know that people spend a huge amount of time putting those leaflets together, go to those public meetings, knocking on doors, down at the post office, at the shop, communicating and trying out those difficult decisions, having those difficult conversations. In the first year of the local council tax support, the government made an estimation of how much the grant fund ought to go to parishes. And that was about £40 million. And I was encouraged to see that the billing authorities passed down 95% of that money last year. And that shows that local authorities recognise, on the whole, the important role that parish councils play in local democracy and delivering services. However, I was extremely disappointed to see that the billing authorities are trying to pass down 20% less this year. And I expect billing authorities to continue to pass down funding to town and parish councils. And I am writing to that. I'm communicating with those 31 local authorities who have indicated they have no intention of passing down further funding this year. It's simply not acceptable to local taxpayers if parish councils are left with no choice but to increase council tax precepts or scale back services to fill the void. Billing authorities and parish councils must work together to ensure that they secure the best outcome for local taxpayers and be answerable to them if they do not. I mean, I said earlier on about my relationship between parish and district. I mean, there's a degree of lack of respect in my house. People do not appreciate the amount of work that's going on at a local level, at a really local level. And if the billing authorities don't understand what you're bringing to delivering local services, and I think the billing authority has a problem, and they need to understand what you're delivering. And my challenge to them is to address it, and you've got my support in that challenge to those organisations. Referendum principles. The ability to raise council tax is a strength of parishes, and we have said we're prepared, if necessary, to apply referendum principles to a higher spending town or parish councils from 2015 and 2016, and this is not changed. But I have heard your message about timing, which I know is really important when you do that. We're not saying that you can't increase your precept. What we are saying is you've got to allow some debate and discussion about how this is going to be facilitated, and we want to have that conversation how we do it. There's not a tension between keeping down tax and wanting parishes to do more. It's because we need to keep down tax, be efficient and deliver better services that we want parishes to do more. Now that sounds like a conflict there, but it isn't. At the local level, you as volunteers drive out a huge amount of services, and we need to encourage more of that to come about. And actually the billing authorities need to understand the capacity you've got and support you in that process. There are opportunities and powers for the parish tiers. We've changed the rules, and we're helping campaigners to make it easier to set up parish councils. I set up several parish councils, and in fact virtually all of Bradford now is parished, which is interesting because there's some very rural bits, some very urban bits with very different demands and challenges. But actually, I know from knocking on the doors and collecting the signatures, people did feel empowered. They felt engaged at something at a very local level, which they can understand and they could relate to was being born around us, and they could participate in that. And but it's not to say that 6 in 10 in the country aren't covered by a parish council at the moment. We've helped some 27 campaigns so far, with over 30 live campaigns for new town and parish council, which were in previously unparished areas, which we want to support, and we want to encourage people to come forward. The Localism Act gives parish councils a range of powers to address problems that they want to address, and town and parish councils are showing what can be achieved. Already many have taken control and having a greater say about what goes in their neighbourhood. We've surveyed parishes over the summer. Of those who responded, significant increases last year in the numbers who are doing there were significant numbers of those who are doing neighbourhood planning and taking action on assets and taking services from local authorities. In neighbourhood planning, around 1,200 communities have taken the first step. Over 130 plans have been published for consultation, and 33 neighbourhood plans have had planning referendums. As well as being the local government minister, I'm also apparently the pubs minister as well. And I've got to say, there are many burdens to office. One of them is I have to go and visit lots of pubs, and then lots of breweries. So next week I've got a really interesting, I'm going to visit an adult services facility, and then immediately after I'm going to visit a cider manufacturing company, which both I know will be enjoyable in many different ways. But I do know actually, from my own community, the pub's a really important part of that. And sometimes pubs come under threat, and the idea that you can now secure that as a community asset is really important. So we've empowered you as parish councils and district councils to make that call. And some have really taken that on board. There's some 1,500 assets have now been secured, which I think about 500 of pubs. So I know actually, go back to Howard, there's one about to be, sought to be secured as a community asset. And I've also seen the outcome. So it's not just about saying I don't want that treasured building to be turned into a shop or a Tesco's or whatever it is, and there's merits to that. You've got to make something happen with it as well. So when I went to Salford, to a little community pub, which the residents all bought shares in, it's now their place. It's a really important community location actually. They have meetings, they have family gatherings, there's food, there's a whole range of stuff like that. There's a really nice micro-brewery which has now been set up in the ladies' toilet, directly opposite as well actually, which tastes better than it sounds like. But it's the fact that they own it. It's their place, right in the middle of a big city. We've got this activity, and I've been to a really great place in York. And the committee is from the people who own it, who actually live in the community. And it's a really powerful piece. So community assets and that model is important. Look, I've only got a short period of time with you today, so I'll finish on that. That's one final thing. I said right at the beginning, my politics started in local. So I want to say thank you to you. And when you go back to your next meeting, pass that thank on again, to your members of your parish committee, your team that are around you. We do respect what you're doing. We can't always give you what you want, but you'll know in my office, the door's open,